Initiates of the sacred brotherhood of elite MCs. Raw mysterious initiates of the sacred brotherhood of elite MCs. Raw mysterious initiates of the sacred brotherhood of elite MCs. Raw mysterious initiates of the sacred brotherhood of elite MCs. Raw mysterious. Ali is happy when Moors are happy. Vixens wink fake lashes trying to trap me. 40 days and nights battling the lower demons. This is not the land, hybrids can't be freemen. If this is not the land, who's the immigrant thinking they're sovereign? Imagination figment, recessive is their status, lacking pigment. Game for the Thanksgiving, but no commitment to indigenous Moors they conquered with Bibles. Signs in the vitals and signs in the cycles, only to strangle, embracing my rivals. Free national standards, not playing with the tribals. Each Moor is their own Christ, not disciples. Whether hands or thoughts, no worshiping idols. Always carry my Moorish Quran, no recitals. Everyone will not process ancients' arrivals. Initiates of the sacred brotherhood of elite MCs. Raw mysterious initiates of the sacred brotherhood of elite MCs. Raw mysterious initiates of the sacred brotherhood of elite MCs. Raw mysterious initiates of the sacred brotherhood of elite MCs. Raw mysterious.
Innate mystic ability to show and prove a lesson, coupled with the agility to move you with the message, presence of divine mind to navigate you with a reference, urgent with a purpose, perfect. Emergent urban legends, real more is not a question or a choice or a preference. You are who you are, you should have the same obsession. Broke the same jewels to a dude, the corner Jane and Western. What you reppin', all that effort, that direction keep you separate in a world of blind sheep. I was born to be a shepherd, mind like an elephant. Got the paws of a leopard, means I'm wise and I'm strong. Crank you up like I'm a record, take you to the body shot, correct your lines to true vector manifestations. Matter, energy, and mind, spirit men unsung. Trey Young dropping dimes until you tighten up, you catching splinters from the pine. Clean the clouds out your thoughts, that's what keep you in the bind.
Initiates of the sacred brotherhood of elite MCs. Raw mysterious initiates of the sacred brotherhood of elite MCs. Raw mysterious initiates of the sacred brotherhood of elite MCs. Raw mysterious initiates of the sacred brotherhood of elite MCs. Raw mysterious. Sun Falcon, niggas like the swagger. Copper sports Jaguar. I'm Ethan, fuck a gun. I'm shooting raised gamma. Allergic to banana, not the clips below the hammer. Fuck that cave bitch cracker. King Asiatic, no one's equal to the master. MC not a rapper, cosmic DJ and dancer. Thought streams, hieroglyphic, fought fiends, optimistic, never of the outcome. Feds are never outrun, cause I didn't have to. Spit without the actual. My tempo holds the thoughts of Sheikh Sharif Abdul. My body is the capsule, extra terra astral. Coming like the normal, straight back to Lesbo. I'm running out the homo, not against the person, just against the culture. Situations worsen when we swarming like a vulture. Not to scavenge, I'm here to avenge. Some transform, but I'm here to transcend. Wake you out your sleep, the shepherd of the sheep. Living on the bass chakra, booming in your Jeep. You're going back to Cali, never heard of Lakshmi. I'm the black one who's the consort of Cali. Not Yoga Yuga, freeze you with the mudra. Return of Naga Judah, it's the Moorish Sufi Buddha. Killed by a trooper was Milton William Cooper. Behold a pale horse on cell stalking moss. Radiate your corpse, there's worms and porks. Staying in your forks, but they judging me in courts and swearing on a book. And when I swear at home, I'm getting dirty looks. I'm innocent, I'm leaving. Heathen's brains leaking, not from the bomb. When I'm Chong and Cheechin, fags get your beating. You could say a haze and some think that I'm Bayesian, but when you hear the Trinity, boy, I cuss you in Jamaican. Sun Falcon L, Sun Falcon L, Sun Falcon L, Sun Falcon L. Walking out of hell. Some think rebel, well I mean rebel. Shoot up the closets, got them hiding in the cupboard. When they come with thoughts and call me Negro or colored, but sometimes black, that's an adjective at that. They pinch emotion nerves to make you react. Rose gets a park, but a road for Mike Myers. Who's alive and works for television? Liars, satellite or net, saddle or a vet. I'm not looking for love, man, I'm demanding respect. You're slamming on your gavel, then I'm standing on my square. Astro projecting in the realm, I reappear. Calling the soul plane, I saw the prophet there. Don't talk unless address or get the death stare. Dealing with one-on-one questions, Quran. Muslim, not Muslims, praying on my hands. Praises to Allah, praises to Jah, praises to Olokuna Guna Batala, praises to Ra, God, my Ba and my Ka. Black state got the Masons when we are the sons of Ma. Harim Habib, you need to wake up. You need to wake up. You need to wake up. Harim Habib, you need to wake up.
And being declassified from the human race and then brought down to a lower race that symbolized color. When we talk black, white, mulatto, he did not want us to be classified in these racial categories, but to be elevated back to the human race. Where there was only one race, and that was called human. As he said in his famous speech, the Negro finds himself a slave in his own land. That means that, you know, we have been consistently and constantly fighting, whether it be from Frederick Douglass, his writings, whether it be from W.E.B. Du Bois, his writings, John Henry Clark, on the African writings, again, Drew Ali speaking about the Moorish history here in the United States of America. You know, these things that were talked about were just reminders of who we were in the past and what our fight has been in this country. We did not want to be called Negro. We did not want to be called a color.
Tell everyone about Drew Ali, 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 tell everyone. Let the world know Drew Ali came. Brought a flag, religion, and free national name. Brought an ID card, don't flash at the hybrid. Learn about the righteous and when we were the pirates. Ancestral creed, clandestine heed. Warnings of the prophet, they can't intercede. Canaanite, Hittite, Amorite brethren needing new homes to Atlantis direction. North, south, and central. Flag continental. Founder and uniting of the Moorish holy temple of science. Nationality is alliance. Always in defiance of their worship compliance. Active, not passive. Estate is massive. Use the compass, draw circles around your passions. Carpenter's tool in the mind workshop. Corsica bandana, covered eyes in bird box. Return to ancestors' mind. Descendants of ancients. Forget the mundane. Knowledge attainments guided by the principles, our own laws and customs. If they teach but don't bring up Drew Ali, don't trust them. Tell everyone about Drew Ali. 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 Tell everyone. Tell everyone about Drew Ali. 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 Tell everyone.
I told a Filipino woman about Drew Ali. We got more into the pedigree. She said she more. I said that meant more to me. Couldn't have this conversation a few years back when I was a few years black. 2,000 years I cried in tears, but I'm back.
Boys, his writings, John Henry Clark, on the African writings, again, Drew Ali speaking about the Moorish history here in the United States of America. You know, these things that were talked about were just reminders of who we were in the past and what our fight has been in this country. We did not want to be called Negro. We did not want to be called a color.
Tell everyone about Drew Ali. 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 Tell everyone. Let the world know Drew Ali came. Brought a flag, religion, and free national name. Brought an ID card, don't flash at the hybrid. Learn about the righteous and when we were the pirates. Ancestral creed, clandestine heed. Warnings of the prophet, they can't intercede. Canaanite, Hittite, Amorite brethren needing new homes to Atlantis direction. North, south, and central, flag continental. Founder and uniting of the Moorish holy temple of science. Nationality is alliance, always in defiance of their worship compliance. Active, not passive, estate is massive. Use the compass, draw circles around your passions. Carpenter's tool in the mind workshop. Corsica bandana, covered eyes in bird box. Return to ancestors' mind, descendants of ancients. Forget the mundane, knowledge attainments. Guided by the principles, our own laws and customs. If they teach but don't bring up Drew Ali, don't trust them. Tell everyone about Drew Ali. 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 Tell everyone. Tell everyone about Drew Ali. 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 Tell everyone.
I told a Filipino woman about Drew Ali. We got more into the pedigree. She said she more. I said that meant more to me. Couldn't have this conversation a few years back when I was a few years black. 2,000 years I cried in tears, but I'm back. Still here, thought manifested from a higher tier. I appear, spirit and flesh with divine warnings. Choose life or death. I heard my mother utter to the Negro, black or color, African American, and that's another. Moors, be yourself, no other. You're the last puzzle in place, now move others. Hatred, slander, lewdness, murders. The pleasure of the lower, rich in promise, so you can't prevent effects from causes. So a seed planteth, so a seed groweth. Deep in the soil, with love, truth, peace, freedom and justice. Born on a Friday, I put that on Venus. Creative faith, Allah, use a genius. You sent your last prophet to uplift me, so I gotta tell everybody. Tell everyone about Drew Ali, 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 tell everyone. Tell everyone about Drew Ali, 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 tell everyone.
Common sense was made before book sense. Canaanland Moors presents Common Sense Quick.
Legendary, bury me in the North Gates Cemetery, February the 4th days. Son of Mary, day ahead of my born day. Independence alarm, may civil literal lost case. With case laws, we break them down like Jericho. Keeping all my lions tamed, I'm Chris Jericho. I'll keep a mask on deck, I'm Rey Mysterio. Fake pandemics announced over the radio. Annoyed with the game, the joys and the pains. I'm Rob Bass, mixing with rock the hard way. I was in a lost state. Prophets told me up right, brought me to a lost gate. Cooking like I'm Salt Bay, rapping like I'm Denzel. Malcolm X, Deja Vu, Roman J. Israel. Had no but Ali in plain sight, but people still can't see it, so the snake's still showing up. Stakes still high, so the race still going up. Warriors of the North Gate, we not slowing up. Born in the manger, sworn to be savior. Walk through the valley of the shadows of the death dip in slavery. Looking for light, the book of Genesis. Astroplane entrances, invoke the nemesis. Abstract images of past lives kicking in. Danger, running for your life. Finish him.
Morris Omar, key man or oracle. Using Trinity powers, decipher allegorical. Lost and metaphorical, holy books are metaphysic. Fact slap a dirty more or a Drew Ali critic. Calling him Thomas or Walter and get your face caved. Or cut like a close shave. Drowned in my brain waves. Squashed by heat waves. Activating Kundalini. Abyssinia invaded by Mussolini.
Common sense was made before book sense. Canaanland Moors presents Common Sense Quick.
Legendary, bury me in the North Gates Cemetery, February the 4th days. Son of Mary, day ahead of my born day. Independence alarm, may civil literal lost case. With case laws, we break them down like Jericho. Keeping all my lions tamed, I'm Chris Jericho. I'll keep a mask on deck, I'm Rey Mysterio. Fake pandemics announced over the radio. Annoyed with the game, the joys and the pains. I'm Rob Bass, mixing with rock the hard way. way. I was in a lost state. Prophets stood me up right, brought me to a lost gate. Cooking like I'm Salt Bay, rapping like I'm Denzel. Malcolm X, Deja Vu, Roman J. Israel. Had no but I lay in plain sight, but people still can't see it. So the snake's still showing up, stakes still high, so the race still going up. Warriors of the North Gate, we not slowing up. Born in the manger, sworn to be savior. Walk through the valley of the shadows of the death dip in slavery. Looking for life, the book of Genesis. Astral plane entrances, invoke the nemesis. Abstract images of past lives kicking in. Danger, running for your life. Finish him.
Morris Omar, key man or oracle, using Trinity powers, decipher allegorical, lost and metaphorical, holy books are metaphysic, fact slap a dirty more or a Drew Ali Craig, calling him Thomas or Walter and get your face caved, or cut like a close shave, drowned in my brain waves, squashed by heat waves, activating Kundalini, Abyssinia invaded by Mussolini, Selassie I in exile, reptile in Genesis, niggas appearing real, all I see is false evidence, DAR feminists, stomped on by elephants, more like no prejudice but want Moorish benefits, when you feel the cold magnetic resonance, Apis horns of the sacred book called Maleficent, great cosmic mothers, return to blessedness, no pestilence, ace all the testaments, tap into remembrance, never to forget again, use energy right, not put spell effects on men, wandering the earth plane with no they live shades, keeps you a mental slave as the horizon fades, it's been decades since Christian crusades, not enough rebellions, too many vigil bouquets, holding on to the fence, burning on doomsday, war ruled by Mars, it might be on a Tuesday.
Canaanland Moors presents Common Sense Quickie. What we do here is we add some common sense thinking to everyday situations or comments that may arise. Want to give it a try?
This is what it feels like. 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 People running up to me that I don't know. Are you a prince? They ask, tell them I'm from Morocco. Look me up and down with a smile, not a frown. Turn their brain to water, watch the lower self drown. Wanna touch my antennas and steal my energy. Eyes bulge, telling them I'm always King Edward V. When it comes to facts with Moors, they get beggarly. They ask Morocco where? The farthest northwesterly. With every question asked, I respond cleverly. All dependents won't explain expertly. Going in their wallets, pull out pictures with feathers, breaking down the ring, then the mason confesses. He's at 33 degrees, now the convo stretches like yoga into esoteric metaphysic lessons. When my people aren't like me, he impresses. When we take more science to the highways and hedges. This is what it feels like. This is what it feels like. This is what it feels like. This is what it feels like.
They tried to get you to think again. That's the profit. I'm upright, don't need a friend. And you can't stop this. I'ma write with my pen. Violate me and I'ma sentence again. Remain cautious, cause often it's in again. That's in the police out, just the silence men.
This is what it feels like. 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 People running up to me that I don't know. Are you a prince? They ask, tell them I'm from Morocco. Look me up and down with a smile, not a frown. Turn their brain to water, watch the lower self drown. Wanna touch my antennas and steal my energy. Eyes bulge, telling them I'm always King Edward V. When it comes to facts with Moors, they get beggarly. They ask Morocco where? The farthest northwesterly. With every question asked, I respond cleverly. All dependents won't explain expertly. Going in their wallets, pull out pictures with feathers, breaking down the ring, then the mason confesses. He's at 30 33 degrees. Now the combo stretches like yoga into esoteric metaphysic lessons. When my people aren't like me, he impresses. When we take moral science to the highways and hedges, this is what it feels like. This is what it feels like. This is what it feels like. This is what it feels like.
They tried to get you to think again. That's the profit. I'm upright, don't need a friend. And you can't stop this. I'ma write with my pen. Violate me and I'ma send writs again. Remain cautious, cause often it's in again. That's in the police out, just the silence men. When they bust through your door, you won't breathe again. Nationality will show you how to live again. It can change the predicament you're living in. You can heal the whole world without medicine. Only truth can make you a better man. Why lie? Cause you got paid to murder men. Then you try to lock them up when they riot in. That's okay, cause for freedom I'm diving in. With no knowledge, you come back to die again. Resurrect me not, cause I'd rather be one with Allah.
This is what it feels like. This is what it feels like. This is what it feels like. This is what it feels like.
If you understand what that really means, this concept, that's all the documents. All the documents peripheral to this are only supportive. They're supportive of the activation of this. This is passive, isn't it? It is the statement that's on here, right? Passive. Put it in the abstract and then regurgitate it, then it lives. If you can't, your concepts are wrong and you don't understand it. And not that you shouldn't have it, but you should have it because it belongs to you. But whoever gave it to you didn't tell you the truth. What the real deal is, if you understand what that really means, this concept, that's all the documents. All the documents peripheral to this are only supportive. They're supportive of the activation of this. This is passive, isn't it? It is the statement that's on here, right? Passive. Put it in the abstract and then regurgitate it, then it lives. If you can't, your concepts are wrong and you don't understand it. And not that you shouldn't have it, but you should have it because it belongs to you. But whoever gave it to you didn't tell you the truth. What the real deal is, if you understand what that really means, this concept, that's all the documents. All the documents peripheral to this are only supportive. They're supportive of the activation of this. This is passive, isn't it? It is the statement that's on here, right? Passive. Put it in the abstract and then regurgitate it, then it lives. If you can't, your concepts are wrong and you don't understand it. And not that you shouldn't have it, but you should have it because it belongs to you. But whoever gave it to you didn't tell you the truth. What the real deal is, if you understand what that really means, this concept, that's all the documents. All the documents peripheral to this are only supportive. They're supportive of the activation of this.
If you don't know the component parts in both its spiritual and political interchange activity, which is what comprises nationality in your relationship of belonging to a nation, then, and you say nationality and you start operating, going out into the world, you need to be made aware by someone who does know, because the European is not going to tell you that nationality, you're nationalized once you're conscious of who you are. But saying who you are and being who you are two different things. But in the real world, when you make a mistake, your guard was down, you just got punched. People go out in the movement and they get frustrated with the wrongs or the disorders that are amongst us. Rather than work to fix them and work for unity, they want to ignore their political body or even do things to help fix it. Go to the temple. You need to know that that's still your organization. It don't mean that you're going to stay in some temple where they're all disrupted, but you don't deny the temple is still your institution. You're not willing to deal with fixing your own, but you want to fix these documents to fix the European who's in possession of your birthright. That's a conflict of interest and a conflict of law. If you didn't know it, he does. He ain't going to tell you. The remedies, the medicine that we need is right there. But we let other people distract us. And then also not go into studies. Left-handed gold feather Moors. He ain't made no contract with them. And if you pay attention to a lot of Moors, they busy trying to find quote-unquote European-made Indian names to be that of the Moors, just so they don't just be Moors. And then trying to hold them to some kind of obligation. Europeans laughing because they know they don't understand. And he's safe. This is what Senator Barry was talking about in 1834 before the House of Representatives, delegates in Virginia. And as long as they can keep us from the light, they're safe. And then Noble Drawley King opened up the way, and rather than, because they don't want to give him credit for the great work he did, and they don't want to acknowledge that he's a prophet, they keep on trying to get around that. He never said worship him. He said listen to the word. Carry out what I said. Gave you what you need to save yourselves. Now go out and redeem your people. And what happened, people get this wisdom, right? And then they start following at the pattern of the church. They see the opportunity to be important to their people rather than try to raise their people. So they start making positions for themselves, self-assigned titles, and, and then start raping their people, and then to the people, figuring them out. Then they start new clubs. And before you know, they're divided against each other just the way the Europeans set it up, which caused our fall in the first place, that divisionism. What? Not trying to get the benefit of the nation without being aligned to the nation. And that's what our problem is, politically. If you don't know the component parts in both its spiritual and political interchange activity, which is what comprises nationality in your relationship of belonging to a nation, then, and you say nationality and you start operating, going out into the world, you need to be made aware by someone who does know, because the European is not going to tell you that nationality, you're nationalized once you're conscious of who you are. But saying who you are and being who you are two different things. But in the real world, when you make a mistake, your guard was down, you just got punched. People go out in the movement and they get frustrated with the wrongs or the disorders that are amongst us. Rather than work to fix them and work for unity, they want to ignore their political body or even do things to help fix it. Go to the temple. You need to know that that's still your organization. It don't mean that you're going to stay in some temple where they're all disrupted, but you don't deny the temple is still your institution. You're not willing to deal with fixing your own, but you want to fix these documents to fix the European who's in possession of your birthright. That's a conflict of interest and a conflict of law. If you didn't know it, he does. He ain't going to tell you. The remedies, the medicine that we need is right there. But we let other people distract us. And then also not go into studies. Left-handed gold feather Moors. He ain't made no contract with them. And if you pay attention to a lot of Moors, they busy trying to find quote unquote European made Indian names to be that of the Moors, just so they don't just be Moors. And then trying to hold them to some kind of obligation. Europeans laughing because they know they don't understand. And he's safe. This is what Senator Barry was talking about in 1834 before the House of Representatives, delegates in Virginia. And as long as they can keep us from the light, they're safe. And then Noble Drew Ali came, opened up the way, and rather than, because they don't want to give him credit for the great work he did, and they don't want to acknowledge that he's a prophet, they keep on trying to get around that. He never said worship him. He said listen to the word. Carry out what I said. Gave you what you need to save yourselves. Now go out and redeem your people. And what happened? People get this wisdom, right? And then they start following at the pattern of the church. They see the opportunity to be important to their people rather than try to raise their people. So they start making positions for themselves, self-assigned titles, and, and then start raping their people, and then to the people, figuring them out. Then they start new clubs. And before you know, they're divided against each other just the way the Europeans set it up. Which caused our fall in the first place, that divisionism. What? Not trying to get the benefit of the nation without being aligned to the nation.
Honors to all Moors worldwide. Supreme honors. Honors to Noble Drew Ali. Study, study, study. It's essential these days and times. They're trying every weak mind. AI is going crazy. Trying every weak mind. Remember your foundation. Remember the honoring of your foremothers and forefathers. Honors to Haile Selassie, who had the golden fez on the record so that the people could know and they can see their own ruling, just as their foremothers and forefathers did. Showed it real time. Right after Noble Drew Ali too. Right after Noble Drew Ali. And got coronated with his empress, which was never done ever. First one. Everything's documented. It's all documented. So if you go check for the book, if you come out of any of the schools, Garveyite school, Pan-African school, Rastafarian school, Black Nationalist, RBG school, all that, NGE, all that. Nationality is the order of the day. And we give honors to His Imperial Majesty. So we came out the Rastafarian school of thought. And how is it had to get to Moorish science to realize the Triple Crown is a fez we've been parading around with for this whole time? How we didn't even register that we're Rastafarians wearing turbans. We're in turban. That's Moorish. People look like us with a turban. What are they gonna say? Who are they gonna say that is? They're not gonna say that that's anybody but a Moor. As soon as they see the picture with the turban on, oh, the Moor. There's a Moor right there. We'll go into some of it in the book, the connection, the Moorish connection to His Imperial Majesty, so the Rastafarians could get on board with realizing nationality is the order of the day. Right? And the Garveyites, they're supposed to get on board because Garvey's the forerunner of the Moorish movement. So if Garvey led the charge, one, with telling you about making sure he let you know Africa for the Africans and all that. But all of his work's being done over here. And the work was getting the people to a unity mindset through nationhood. But didn't know what the nation was yet. And had everything locked down. Had it all prepared and ready. And they got him out the way. Quick. Got him out the way. $3 mail fraud stopped the movement that Garvey started. $3 mail fraud. Then he meets Noble Drew Ali, and then he writes them from prison. Tell them the only way you're going to be free is if you have a nationality. It's in philosophies and opinions that the Garveyites said that they read and all that stuff. But they missed that part. The only way the Negro is going to be free. Remember, this is the founder, president, prime minister, everything of the Garvey movement. Telling them. So the Holy Trinity, the real Holy Trinity is these three great men. What they did to get our people to the place of knowing who it is that we are. Remember the unity, right? It's not separate schools of thought and all that stuff. Rastafarians still wear turbans to this day. They got to make every excuse talk about they're not Moors. But ask anybody else in the world turbans and they're talking about Moors. KhalifaMedia.com. You can go get the book. And for all the Moors who still want to support, or all the modern Europeans, or all of the whoever's out there who know that there's a problem in these communities, young people killing each other and all that stuff. We have a free ball camp that we run. Starting up August 1st. It's at the Pan Am Center. You could look it up. Camp's full, by the way. But you can go look up the Pan Am Center and see what we're working with to, give these young people something to do. Keep them busy. So 10 a.m. to 12 noon, 9 days. It's going to be intense. So if you want to support Canaanlandguide@gmail.com, that's the PayPal and the email money transfer if you're out here near Canaanland. And just send your donations, and it's to help give them something, because there's a shooting again last night. So, you got to do something. So the ones that you can get, go get them. Don't let them fall through the cracks like the rest. Don't let them fall through the cracks. Get them. Get them. And there's the next meetup for the Moors. Because it's about unity. It's about we are a nation. Right? So Moors are meeting up. Moors are doing what we have to. Doing what we have to. So honors to all the Moors who have been active and continue to be active. Honors to you. Just check the website, riseofthemoors.org, and be updated with what's been going on, because you know the boat has left the dock. What's been going on and what will be going on. There are a few questions. We'll get to those. We'll get to those and see what's good. All right. So the email Islam GS. In the movie Sovereign, the main character is basically going through the motions of enforcing the Constitution, which the Prophet instructed us as Moors to do as well. Can you speak on some of the similar or different ways Moors should go about enforcing the Constitution compared to how it was portrayed in the movie? Well, before we even talk about enforcing the Constitution, before we even go there, the Sovereign movie, it was an expose on the fraud that these people have been doing for the past how much ever years. Because certain demographics can't claim to be sovereign or citizen or anything like that. They're property. This is not anybody's land but the Americans. You already know the Americans are the copper tone people who were here before modern Europeans. When you look at what they were exposing in the movie, it's the fact that none of their stuff works, that they're going around lecture about telling people to go do this stuff. Stuff doesn't work. It's BS. Right? And that's the reality that they can't face, why he went nuts. Because what they're really supposed to be doing is assisting the Moors, not going over there playing sovereignty games, because they found out some information about UDAS as a corporation. It has nothing to do with anything about UDAS corporation. It has to do with who are the original people of the land. And anybody else who's in their land, they should be paying them. And if that's not happening, then you have colonization. And everybody's party, if they're not giving the indigenous people their right due, which all these people know who the indigenous people are. Everybody knows the black guys that everybody thinks came over here on a slave ship. Everybody knows they're the ones. They're the return of the ancient ones. But they're called black and all types of other crap. And knowing the truth about your nationality was our lesson so that we can get out of being somebody's ward. The modern Europeans, they already have their nationality. They're a foreigner. They're supposed to be on the eastern seaboard. That's it. Not supposed to be in the mainland. But here they are in the mainland. And then you want to talk about enforcing constitutions when these people have been violating the stuff for the past 100 years. As soon as they said New Deal, then started playing fiat and all that stuff, they're violating Constitution. So there's no enforcing it because the people who you're dealing with aren't even dealing with the Constitution. This is the issue that people have because they still have this warped mindset that when they go into a tribunal or whatever, they're dealing with some judge of some. No, they're foreigners and they're criminal. They know that they don't have the authority, but this is why they want and need people to be wards. So they're showing you that even the sovereign whoever's that are claiming that, oh, that's a corporation and how they gonna and where, but then when you look throughout the whole movie, he's getting stuff and he's not responding to it. That's not how you're supposed to. You're not supposed to get something from the colonial people, and then you're not addressing the thing that you got. Because if you don't address it, then what? Then you acquiesce, and it's default for them. Which is how they got the house in the first place. Because he didn't respond to any of the stuff, which is what their lessons are. No, because that's not you, that's a straw man. So why would you respond? Well, why wouldn't you respond? Didn't they say they're coming to get the house and all that stuff? Aren't you in there? You don't think you should respond? You think you're just gonna sweep that under the rug, not respond? You know, go to the building, push stuff through a hole in the wall, and say you've been served and think that you did something? Judge gets mad and walks out, and you're talking about, oh yeah, this court is in default, and this court is now closed. Thank you very much. Have a good day and all that stuff. It's BS. That's what the whole hour and whatever was to show you how much BS that stuff is, which should let you know that these people got away with billions probably raping people, selling packages to them. And then keep in mind, none of them are going to mention, you know, oh, all you black guys need to go to the temple. All you black guys need to go start talking with the Moors and all that stuff. Don't be over here messing around with us over here. Don't be doing that. This stuff's not going to work for you. So in exercising or enforcing the Constitution, that's only coming about because there's some issue. If there's no issue, people not even talking about Constitution. They're talking about trust, and they're talking about file this, and they're talking about and Constitution's not even. As soon as there's issue, all of a sudden now they want to talk about Constitution and enforcing it. But then every time before, there's no enforcing of it, right? Because you know it doesn't apply. You don't need to enforce it at this point. But you're going back to the videos about wanting to seek a benefit from this without putting in your due. That you only get out what you put in. It's the only way this works. It doesn't work any other way. So in the saying, enforcing the Constitution, they're guaranteed there has to be some type of issue why they would be talking about enforcing this Constitution. Just keep in mind, they just had votes and all that stuff is fraud. Because everybody knows that it's not the people voting who pick who the leader is going to be in whatever government, whatever that you're dealing with. If it's some foreigners in land that's not their own, guaranteed that's not government. It can't be, because only the indigenous people could have a government in their own land. Foreigners can't do that unless it's colonization. So if we're talking about enforce the Constitution for the United States of America Republic, if we're talking about enforcing that, who are you enforcing it on? Some people who are going to say U.S. Constitution, and then they're going to start talking about Amendment 875 is the law. That should let you know that they're a fraud. Then if they're a fraud, then what are you enforcing? This is why, again, we go right back to the UN DRIP, an American Declaration of Rights. That it's the time of exercising now. Drew Ali said the stuff is gonna fall. Stuff fell multiple times after he left. The stuff fell multiple times. Then they get their little wood and they prop it back up again, and then it falls over again. And then they prop it up again, and then it falls over again. How much time does this stuff have to fall over? But of course, we want to talk nationhood, then everybody has to be on board. If we're saying enforce Constitution, it can't be 5 Moors that's enforcing it. Everybody has to be on board, or there's going to be no enforcement of anything. Oh, it's only going to be there for the ones who they study and they know what it is. And if they have an issue, they're going to enforce the Constitution, and then they won't have an issue anymore. But majority of the time, enforcing the Constitution is because there's an issue. If there's no issue, Constitution is not even going to be looked at. You're not even looking over there if stuff's running right. If stuff's running right, the Constitution doesn't need to be talked about. If stuff's running right. Only when there's an issue does that stuff come up. Just keep that in mind. So when you hear people talk about it so much, know they're in the realm of trying to sell you an issue, right? And they have the remedy. There's going to be $7,000 though. Right? So, if we're talking about enforcing, anything, we should enforce what Drew Ali gave us if we're going to be enforcing anything. I would say enforce that more than enforce some stuff that people are not going to follow that anyways. Right, like the brother who just got beat up, right? When they punched through the window and all that stuff. Right? He was telling them they don't have the right to do what they're doing. What did they do? They did it anyway, didn't they? And then they're going to be on the podium, right? And then they're going to have the lawyer guy, right? Boulay. They're going to have Boulay up there as the representative. And they're not talking about enforce Constitution. They're talking about enforcing civil rights, which that's unconstitutional. And all they got to do is go in their little fund. That's all they got to do. Go in their little fund and give them a 10, 15, 18, 20, 25, 13, whatever million. And that's that. And then tomorrow somebody else is going to get punched in the face by these people. And then the guy is going to be up there again. And then he's going to make the same civil rights argument. And then they're going to go to their little fund and then pay them out 15 billion or whatever like that. And you don't realize that you're getting played. And again, remember, going back to enforcing the Constitution, whatever like that, you need everybody. If you don't have everyone, then it's for yourself. Reading the Constitution and knowing it and all that stuff. That's for you. That's for you to know. Because you realize that people are criminal out here. And if anybody's saying that there's a law and it's not in harmony with the supreme law, then obviously that's not law. When Drew Ali's talking about enforcing the Constitution, he's talking about men being free and equal and all that. He's talking about men having certain rights. Right to a free national name. Because we've not been exercising in a free national name. So he was pointing out the existing right that is mentioned in the Constitution. And the enforcement is proclaiming your nationality, not the Constitution. The enforcement is having a free national name. The enforcement is having a religion. The enforcement is being in habit, knowing that you're Moors, having a particular mindset. That's the enforcement of it. It's not the actual document that you were talking about enforcing. The document is backing you up. The document's backing up that you have the right to enforce something. So don't fool you with the language that enforce the Constitution, and then you're walking around with a paper, waving a paper in people's face as if that's what it is. When you say right to travel, it's not because you have a card that says right to travel or you have some papers that say right to travel. That's not. The right is with you. The right is you being able to get behind the wheel and travel. The right to bear arms. It's not the arms. It's not being able to pull the trigger. That's the right. This is why body politic and jural society, and because the nation is on wobbly stilts. Right? Because the dummies put it on stilts in the first place. Because they don't want to see this go the way it's supposed to go. They want to see it go in favor of the modern Europeans. But their stuff's been done. Since 1933, their stuff's been done. The ignorance of the problem is the people. Or the ignorance of the people is the problem. Because they don't want to hear what Moors are saying. That's why we always say, yeah, it's just for the two in the back. So you can figure stuff out in their life. Figure your life stuff out. What about the nation? The nation not going anywhere. As long as there's a Moorish nation. As wobbly as it is, it's still a Moorish nation. Right? So it's not. It's just like it's not the IDs. It's not the cards. It's not the papers. It's not the constitutions. It's not that. That's not what it is. It's about the being knowing. Because clearly everybody doesn't want to know. Some people want to be a dumbass. So you have to let them be a dumbass. Everybody's not going to be saved. Let them go down with the ship. Let them perish. You should be concerned about yourself and your issues that you have going on. And handling those through knowing. Unless there's an issue. Unless there's an issue. You're not talking about enforcing anything. The enforcement is you being. And when people see you enforcing by being, they won't want to trample on your rights. When we be Moors, they'll know, oh, that's not a Negro. That's not a black guy. That's not a colored. So I can't use color of law on him. I'm not even going to look in that direction. I'm going to go over here and find me a nigger to deal with. Do that. No, it's messed up because, the stuff was messed up before we got here, right? So we inherited something messed up. So you have to work so you don't drain yourself trying to fix this messed up problem that you inherited. Because you don't want to burn out. You got work to do. You don't want to burn out doing all types of other BS than the work that you're supposed to be doing because other people didn't do their job properly. Now you got to work twice. Right? So work smart, not hard on self. Work smart, not hard. Mm. And in certain instances, you would hear some type of controversy, right? And the other side starts talking about enforcing the Constitution. All of a sudden, they know what Constitution is. All of a sudden, now they know what a Constitution is, and that there's a right and there's laws and all this. But then, when you saying it, oh no, it doesn't exist. They don't know what that is. All they know is their codes, acts, and ordinances. Mm-hmm. It's all about being. If there's a controversy, and the controversy is opposite against, not in harmony with the Constitution, which is the supreme law of the land, and everybody knows this, then it's not law. That's just what it is. As soon as it's not in harmony with the Constitution, that's not law. It's not. And they're going to do everything in their power to make you think that that's law, not the supreme law of the land. And they want to let you think that every court is the court except the Supreme Court. And do you know if there's any type of court happening, it's supposed to be in the Supreme Court? There's not supposed to be any lower court. They're invested in one Supreme Court. So why is there 50 different courts? Because somebody's playing you. The game's been rigged for a long time. Ever since Noble Drew Ali left, the game's been rigged. And we were supposed to be put on game by the people who Noble Drew Ali left the stuff with. And they didn't put us on game. They made themselves rich. Right, and left you, hung you out to dry. So don't be mad. Just realize what it is, and you're exercising according to where it is you are and what you're dealing with. You're not exercising because somebody over there said. You're exercising because this is my situation and this is how I have to deal with this. You don't have the means to do something, but you want to do it, and then you're trying to do it, but you don't have the means to do it. Well, why are you wasting your time? You don't have the means to do it. Go do something else. Don't get caught up in having issues. These people are criminals. They don't follow law and all that. They're criminals. Know that you're dealing with criminals. Right, off the top. Just know that you're dealing with criminals. Right? Just like, you know, when there's alligators, you're not just running in and jumping in and swimming and all that stuff. It's the same thing. You're not just diving in and there's sharks there. Look at all the stuff the same way. Yeah. If any more is in the chat, have questions, hit the email, canaanlandguide@gmail.com. Just cut and paste your question to the email, because I'm checking the email first. Next question. How does the concept of divine law in Noble Drew Ali's Zodiac Constitution align or contrast with the supreme law of the land as defined in Article 6 of the Constitution? So going back again, right, before we even start talking about supreme law and constitutions and all that stuff, we have to know the parties. Zodiac Constitution has nothing to do with Noble Drew Ali. Zodiac Constitution is CMB. So Zodiac Constitution and supreme law of the land, keep in mind, if they're saying if it's not in harmony with the Constitution, then it's not law. CMB, he's indigenous to this land, right? He's not foreigner. He's indigenous here. All right. So being that he's indigenous, he has a right to self-determination. And he determined for himself that his people, after their prophet left, were full of BS. So he set up something to assist in the great works. And one of the things that people have to have is a constitution. But this is why he put all the titles on there, so you know that he's qualified. And keep in mind, he's a constitutional lawgiver as well. And he gave the law to the Moors. When you go read Clock of Destiny 1, 2, and you go read Circle of Life, and you read Zodiac Constitution, you see that the authority from the Aboriginal indigenous people is always going to be in harmony with the Constitution, because that came from Aboriginal law. So the relation is all around. The relation is 360. And now, again, Zodiac Constitution is for Moors. And it's for Moors so that the colonist knows that Moors know exactly what it is that they know. Because we have clock 1 and 2 and all that. We know everything. Just like they know everything. Just like their Masonic games that they play. That in the background, they're Masons and they go to the lodge and they're, okay, well, in the background, we're Clock of Destiny. And we have our organization. And we have our lessons. We have our constitution. And this was known. It was known. Remember, CMB's 50s. He was about the only one around that time that was left with any level of something Moorish that was credible. Because go check all the articles, and then you just saw BMF and all that stuff showing you what Moors were on. Right? They weren't on some Moorish nation with this. They were on some BS. Right? Trying to seek a benefit without giving honors. Remember, the Zodiac Constitution is for Moors. But it's revealing to anybody else who reads it that, oh, obviously we know. When you go to the filings, when you go to the filings in Library of Congress for CMB, it says nationality is Moorish American. Did they say, no, we can't file this here? Did they say, no, that's not a real nationality? Or you're a sovereign citizen, we're not filing those papers here? No, they didn't. Because as soon as you say Zodiac, you know you're dealing with divine. As soon as you say Zodiac, you know that's divine. Automatically. And if Constitution is law and this is Zodiac Constitution, then this is divine law. And then to take it into even more divine law, then you're going into the astrological aspect of things, not not the actual Article 1, Article 2, Article 3. Like the real divine law is the natal chart. And knowing that, when you really get to what the lessons are and what it's really about. So everything's governed by that. You want the best life? just follow the zodiac. Just do what that says and see what happens. Say a month. Commit yourself to a month of doing what astrology tells you to do and see what happens. See if you have half the issues that you have right now. But you know, again, because of the time that we're in, right? With information, just you know what I mean, it's Niagara Falls when it comes to information with people. They're gonna get lost. You know, after you go over the falls and then you hit the bottom, you're gonna be tumbling for a little bit in the, you know, just like how they're saying Theo got taken in the riptide, accidental death and all that stuff. Riptide got him. Riptide, that's what got him. Riptide. Signs and all that saying, be careful of the riptide and all that stuff, and he still got it. Okay. When you go over, it's going to be tumbling and turning for a little bit. That's just what it is. Right? In what ways does the zodiac constitution? In what ways does the zodiac constitution's emphasis on nationality and Moorish identity challenge or complement the 14th Amendment definition of citizenship in the U.S. Constitution? Forget 14th Amendment. There's only 10. So 14th Amendment's not even in, I don't care who's talking about it. Forget 14th Amendment. 7 articles, 10 Bill of Rights. That's it. That's the Constitution. Anything else, you're wasting your time. So when we go back to that challenge or complement, it definitely doesn't challenge because there's nothing there. There's nothing to challenge. The 14th Amendment's a fraud. The 14th and 15th Amendments not necessary for the redemption of our people. It's not necessary. The 14th, this Noble Juali, right? The 14th and 15th Amendments are not necessary. All right, so that means we're not even considering them then. Right? We're not even considering them. That 14th Amendment is not even up for discussion. So it's definitely not complemented either. Again, when the key thing to the Zodiac Constitution, right? The key things to the Zodiac Constitution is Clock of Destiny 1 and 2 and Circle of Life. Right? The Zodiac Constitution is the backbone, right? The skeleton of what he was doing as Great Seal National Association of Moorish Affairs. That's what held everything together. This is why, again, when you go back to the filings, those are filings. Like they're serving a purpose of giving a reference point for individuals who are dealing with Moorish Americans to know what it is that they're dealing with, or who it is that they're dealing with. You know, and you notice, CMB didn't, mark his fez and all that stuff, start saying that he's the man and all that. None of that. He's the Noble Juali reincarnated. None of that. How does the Zodiac Constitution's spiritual foundation, rooted in love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice, inform its interpretation of civic duty compared to the secular civic responsibilities outlined in the U.S. Constitution? Now, again, if you're talking about United States Constitution, U.S. Constitution, that's the colonial stuff. That's the stuff with the 500 amendments that people keep referring to these amendments as if those have any standing at law. They don't. It's a fraud. The Constitution is the United States of America Constitution for the Republic. If it's not expressed as that, then you're not talking about the de jure government with the pyramid and the eagle and all. You're not talking about that. You're talking about some other stuff that we don't even know who the people who founded this thing are. We don't even know who they are. All we know it's a fraud. Right? So don't relate your divine things that you were given to these fraudulent people and their stuff. And even if we go to the Constitution for the United States of America Republic, 7 articles, 10 Bill of Rights. Even if we go to that as a reference point, that's not your stuff. That's for you to let these people know that you know what their stuff is and what they're supposed to do. They're supposed to be gold and silver for payment of debts. They're supposed to be doing that. That's not what you're supposed to be doing. They're the ones that's supposed to do that. And if they're not, obviously they're not following that. And if they're not following that, then they're not government. What civic responsibilities are you talking about? They don't have any civic responsibilities. If they're a fraud, they don't have any civic duties. If they're a fraud, it's all a front. It's all pretend. They're pretending that they have civic responsibilities because people got to pay taxes and we got to have the voting of the whatever and the garbage pickup and the recycling. And then you could come down to City Hall and you could make and speak with the mayor and whatever. All that's corporate activity. That has nothing to do with anything. Where's your mayor? Where's your office that you're supposed to go deal with your dignitaries? Forget their stuff. Their stuff's been done since 1933. It's been done. Whatever you see that's going on, that's Weekend at Bernie's. That's people carrying around a dead body talking about this is their boy. So the Zodiac Constitution doesn't relate to the corporate stuff or the de jure United States of America Republic, and going down that. This is Moorish. This is a whole different jurisdiction. Absolutely different jurisdiction. Okay. What are the implications of Act 5 of the Divine Constitution and Bylaws, which states that Moorish Americans must obey the laws of the U.S. government in relation to the 10th Amendment's reservation of powers to the states and the people? Again, you have two different jurisdictions. Divine Constitution and Bylaws. That's Moorish. Right? Act 1, Grand Sheik has powers. People have powers. The members were part and parcel of this said government and must obey the laws. You say U.S. government in there. You say American government in there. You say obey the laws of this said government. That you're part and parcel. Or Moorish Americans. Our law, Divine Constitution and Bylaws, lets us know through 7 acts. And then once we live by these acts that are in our Constitution, so the acts that are in our Constitution, right, we live by those, then we should be good if we live by those, just by doing that only, just by living by those. Okay. Now, if you don't live by those, then doesn't that mean that they're going to hold you to something else? Now, instead of you being held by your stuff, you're being held by somebody else's, which isn't in your favor anyways, because you can't be a citizen of their stuff. That's why we say that we're nationals. And if we're citizens, we're American citizens, because Brazilians are American citizens and Cubans are American citizens, and all those South American countries are citizens of their own stuff. They're not citizens of some foreign thing. They're citizens of their own jurisdiction they're a citizen of. So there's no Moors have to obey U.S. government laws and all that. That's a fiction. The Moors have to obey Canadian laws and all that. No, that's not a reality. Those aren't laws. Those aren't laws. Those are statutes, ordinances. Have nothing to do with supreme law. Zero. Right. When you're talking United States of America Constitution for the Republic, that's their rules and obligations. That's not yours. That's not your rules. You have your own rules. Go read your own Constitution. And you live by those. So it's easy to get caught because it's as simple as that. You hear conversation and then they say US and you don't correct it, then you're talking about the 500 Amendment stuff. You're not talking about the de jure. And once you're in that fraudulent jurisdiction, you're done for. That's why they set it up like that. That's why it's set up like that. It's definitely masterful what they've done. You know, how they figured out to create something new, make it look almost like it's what it is, what its source is, and then have people follow that instead of following the source. It's crazy how they figured that stuff out. It's like what they did out here, that they said in 2012, they said, yeah, we endorse the United Nations Declaration on the Rights of Indigenous People. All the indigenous people, yeah, finally, and all that stuff, right? Crying and all that. And then you hear them talk today, and they're gonna say, yeah, well, under the UN DRIP Act, we have to look after the indigenous people, and we have to, make sure that the indigenous people are at the meetings, because we can't just be going in their land. And then the UN DRIP Act, and they start talking about UN DRIP Act. And these people didn't even realize that they substituted UN DRIP Act for UN DRIP. And now they're going around as if the act is the UN DRIP when it's not. Yeah. Same game. So I would go with living by divine constitution and bylaws more so than United States of America Constitution, living by that. Because you're not United States of America Republic. That's not you. Yeah, that's definitely not you. And then what you should be, every place in your question where you said United States Constitution, put divine constitution and bylaws there. And then make the connection between Zodiac Constitution and divine constitution and bylaws, opposed to Zodiac Constitution and US Constitution. Because somebody put it in your mind that United States of America Constitution is for Moors or something. That's not for Moors. That's for modern European colonists who are going to try to violate the law. You bring their constitution up to show them what their obligation is, so they don't go down the road of the acts with you. And the codes and the statutes and well, the code of law says, the code of law. What do you mean? Is that the supreme law of the land, or is that Supreme Code of the land or something like that? Because I'm looking through this, see anything about codes in this whole constitution that people take oaths to and all that. And so somebody might have been playing you. Somebody might have been leaning you to the side of, looking at the United States of America Republic Constitution as the all and be all for everybody in the world or something like that, or the all and be all for everybody in America. No, that was for people who were playing United States of America or public government games. That was for them. That wasn't for everybody. Right. And again, the record's been pretty good. We haven't had too many having to, ask their questions again and stuff like that. So, if you need more elaboration, just email a question again. Elaborate a little more if that's needed. How might the Zodiac Constitution call for proclaiming one's free national name be viewed in the context of the First Amendment protections of religious and expansive freedoms? Right, again, the rights of the indigenous people to be self-determined supersedes First Amendment and all that. Bill of Rights don't trump indigenous rights. So as Moors, you want to be with indigenous rights. Just remember, U.S. Constitution, that's not your stuff. That's their stuff. So you know what their obligations are. That's what that's there for. That's not there for you to go running and flapping that around as if that's some law for you. That's to show their obligations. So the Zodiac Constitution's call is just like Noble Drew Ali's call. If you don't do anything else, declare your nationality. And this is not some religious thing. This isn't some religious right that we're exercising. Yes, this is definitely a freedom, right? To have a religion, to speak, to press, to see that there's some type of issue and, put in a petition because, hey, this is the issue, right? Yes, we have that right. Yeah, we have that right. We deserve those things. We're deserving of them. We should have them. They should exist. Now, if you're implying, or if your mindset is, oh, my rights come from the First Amendment, then what about before the First Amendment? You didn't have those rights? Before the First Amendment, did you have the right? Yeah, you had the right. They just didn't have to call it out. Remember, people have to be violated for them to start calling out that you have the right to do this and that. Rights of a child. Because people were doing madness with children. So they brought out the rights of a child. If people weren't doing madness with children, you wouldn't care about children's rights. Because they would be respected and honored. Going back again to this thing about there has to be an issue. Only way that enforcement and all that stuff comes in. Somebody has to kick the door in order for you to go pull the stuff out and start shooting and all that stuff. If nobody breaks in, you're not pulling out anything. You're not just waking up at night, just shooting at the door. So the rights exist. The rights been existing. The enforcement of the right is the Constitution, not the Constitution that's talking about the right to this, the right to that, the freedoms that you have to do. That's not it. You exercising it is the supreme law, not the paper saying the supreme law. Right. Again, emails open, so just send your emails. Do you think in the next 5 years, Moors will own our own schools and businesses again, as well as land in full? It doesn't seem so. Because if we're talking like that, there has to be no Negroes, no blacks, no coloreds, no Indians. And by the looks of it, they want to be the wards. They want to be wards. So, ain't none of that happening. Now you can get together with some Moors and go get a property and start a school. Yeah, you could do that. You can go to Certified Moorish right now. Go do your course. Find out how to set up your business and start your business and run your business and have it set up. So at least, when the stuff falls over, for real, you have something to fall back on. That's your own. Yeah, we could do that. Right? Getting our land back in full. To see the more out there on the tractor on the 200 acres. So Moors have their own land. Right? I seen the Moors with their garden, and then they're taking their stuff from the garden over to the farmers market and all that, selling. So Moors have land. Moors have land. Getting it back in full, meaning the whole estate and all that. Yeah, you need all the other who are playing around too. If we're talking grandioso, right? Because probably 10 years ago, somebody asked that question at a who was it? What lecture was that again? But they're asking about where do you see the Moors being and all that stuff? And the answer was, where are you going to take it in 5 years? Right? Because they realized the laziness thing was starting to kick in. Right? The expectations that, there should be a Moor who does it. No, you have to be that Moor. That's supposed to do whatever it is that you're claiming you are. The Moorish Hospital, okay, you be the Moor to bring the Moorish Hospital. Since it was your brilliant idea, where's the Moorish Hospital, right? Or whatever it is that you're looking for, whatever it is you're looking for that for the Moors to have. If you're not going to establish it, if you're not going to erect it, then don't talk about Moors. Or don't ask about what Moors should have and when are Moors going to have this and that. Be the one to make it happen for the Moors. Be the one to do it. Mhm. Right. Well, and keep in mind, some of these questions are like, people really just getting into this, and their questions are going to be, they might seem off to people who've been studying already, you know. But that's one of the things with this platform. You know what I mean? It caters to anybody, so everybody could learn something. Mhm. Islam. I was wondering why we refer to them as modern Europeans when Prophet just called them Europeans. To my understanding, Empress Europa gave them that title so they would be under her protection. Moors from that area were still there when the landmass was called Asia Minor. So I feel like Moors wouldn't really benefit from the European since they predated. Yeah, exactly. But the issue is the dummies over here that they keep saying that the European did this, the European did that, the Europeans the enemy, the Europeans or whatever like that, and that was that was for clarity, to bringing up the modern Europeans, right? That was from the MHHS classes, that people's mindset wasn't even in that place where you're at, talking about Europe and all that. When they heard Europeans, they start thinking about some pale people. So saying modern Europeans was to distinguish that when we say modern Europeans, we're talking about the later Europeans. We're not talking about the early or the first Europeans. Right? That's how the saying modern Europeans came about. Because you should just be saying Europeans. Because you already know that Europe is Europa, and those are Asiatics. That's not pale land, you know. Right? This is why it came up with, you know, all these different nobility in Europe. They showed they showed them to people as European when they were really Asiatic, right? So the confusion, beyond the white and all that stuff, right? The confusion was to be cleared up by saying modern. So when you hear modern, you know that we're talking about the new Europeans, right? Um, in the preamble, when the Constitution says, "For our prosperity," who is who is the our that it speaks of? Right? So by the time you get to the Constitution, right, the preamble of the Constitution, you're talking about those who are part of that thing that's being set up, called United States of America Republic. Right? Our is them. Our, it says our, but it's not our. It's really them. because we're before that. We're before 1700s in this land. Why all of a sudden in the 1700s now we have laws and we're using that? No. So it's really there. When we read it, it should be there. That way we see that it's, for them. Right. We got a couple more in here. All right. How does Act 4 of the Moor Science Temple, which emphasizes obeying the laws of the government, reflect the principles of the First Amendment's protection of religious freedom of speech? Again, forget constitutional amendments being yours. We're Aboriginal and Indigenous. We have the right to do whatever it is we say that we're doing once we're not violating anybody else's rights. So the Act 4, so when we go to our stuff, right, it says, all members must preserve these holy and divine laws, and all members must obey the laws of the government, because by being Moorish American, you are part and parcel of the government and must live the life accordingly. Obey the laws of the government. He's not saying that that's yours. He's not saying that those are your laws, so that's why you have to obey them. It's called loyalty and respect to government. That if the laws, once they're not in contradiction to the supreme law of the land, then of course you'll consider them. By all members must obey the laws of the government. Remember, this is a government that Noble Drew Ali brought us back to. In the literature, he's called president. There's governors and secretaries and treasurers in the Moor Science Temple. This is government. This said government that, yes, we know that some people are in our seat. But if they're doing things right, if they're doing things just, if they're doing things in harmony with the Constitution, we would have no issues with that. Because they're doing things in accordance to the supreme law of the land. Mm-hmm. I know that there's been neglect in us knowing beyond the supreme law of the land as the Constitution. There's those documents. And those documents, indigenous people were the ones ruling. Through those documents, indigenous people were ruling. And then when you go pre that, you're going to the great law of peace. You're going to indigenous ways of life. Not some foreigners coming and saying this is how stuff gets done. Indigenous people doing it. And again, those freedoms, right to free speech, right to protest, all that stuff still exists. Like those things are the foundation for the amendments and all that. Their rights and freedoms. That's why we say that human rights come from birthrights. And then civil rights are a disguise of human rights. And then they push all the Negro, Black, whoever's to civil rights. So they're out the game. The constitutional rights, they hold for themselves in case there's some type of violations that's going to happen to them. They're going to stand on their constitutional right to religion and whatever. You know exactly what they're doing. Again, the matter, the problem that we have is not knowing. We have to be knowing. We have to be in the realm of knowing, and then knowing what's for us, knowing what applies to us. We have to know what applies to us. And again, it's messed up because the people who are fraud have been running the government since the 30s. Right? And nobody checked them. So they just got to do their fraud. And then now people got iPhones and could research things in a second and ask chat GPT and whatever like that. Now everybody's smart, and now they want to enforce stuff. Now they want to know laws and whatever. I mean, 10 years ago, they wanted to be dumb nigger. And there was no issue. And they wanted 80 billion shoes. They have 2 feet. They got 80 billion shoes. And 1 body and 50 rooms in the house just for them. Priorities out of whack. Right? So here we are. Because we've got all types of BS going on with us, and nothing was put on the table for the liberation of our people. Now all there is confusion. People confused, lost, don't know up from down. But they know something though. But they know something. Right. In what ways does Noble Drew Ali's call for Love, Truth, Peace, Freedom, and Justice, Act 3, align with the 5th and 6th Amendment guarantees of due process and fair trial? Once again, you shouldn't even be in these people's spot. How are you talking about a foreigner has you on trial with a foreign judge, foreign lawyer, foreign prosecutor, foreign stenographer, foreign bailiff, ward security, letting you go through the stuff that's a ward because it's going to be a brother or whatever like that. They had the lowest job on the totem pole. Right? There's going to be some brother or sister in there, right? Maybe scanning you and all that stuff before you go in this building that's not even a court. What fair trial? What due process of law? They don't use law in those buildings. Going back again to what Fifth and Sixth Amendment? These people aren't using the Constitution. That's a fraud. If they say Constitution and then you go look and they have 28 amendments, 50 amendments and all that, if somebody's playing you, immediately you're supposed to acknowledge or recognize that you're being played. Immediately you're supposed to recognize that. Hold on a second. Hold on. They're bringing up Sixth Amendment, but there's another 50 amendments. Why is there 50 amendments? It's supposed to be, and you realize that they're playing you. There's no due process of law when you're dealing with colorable people. Colorable law. Colorable title. That guy out there saying he's a judge, that's a colorable title. He's a magistrate. He's not a judge. And especially if you go like family court or something like that, that's definitely not a judge. That's a guy that's went in the back, put a robe on. Tenant court and all that stuff, that's definitely not a judge in no tenant court. But these people evict people from their homes through those places, don't they? They make people go homeless because of some family court and all that, right? Make people go murder their whole family and kill the turtle and everything else. Why? Because they stress them to death. Because somebody heard and then they called highwaymen on them, and now people are going through hell. Can't see their heirs, can't go visit, can't. All because then have all this hell going on in your life. Right? But guaranteed, if you would have took Noble Drew all these lessons, right, and you would have been studying and all that stuff, the frequency of the house would have been in such a harmonious state that nobody would be hearing no for anybody to be called, for you to have to be going through some BS now. Okay, so again, when you start talking about these amendments in the Constitution, because I'm seeing all the questions are going down this way, so let me just deal with that immediately, right? When you're talking about all these amendments and supreme law of the land and all that stuff, that's not your supreme law of the land. You're a Moor. You're pre-1700s. How is that your stuff? If you're the ancient ones and the mound builders and all that stuff, how the United States of America Constitution is your stuff? How's that your law that you're supposed to be following if you're the mound builders? It's not about those. Those are for what you're going to enforce on them. When they start violating, you start pulling that stuff out on them and see how fast they back down. All right. When they start saying you can't, and then you start enforcing it on them, hey, where does it say that I can't in this? So this is you guys' law, right? This is what you took an oath to? Oh, you took an oath to this. Not me. I didn't take an oath to this. You did, right? Oh, okay. Right. So there's no how does Moorish law meld with, or how does Moorish law be in harmony with, or how does Moorish law with United States of America? Don't even go there. Don't even go there. That's not your law. You're gonna trap yourself, because remember, their color. And when you say United States of America Republic Constitution, and they say, "Oh yeah, it's right here. Yeah, you see right here it says Article 4," but then they're not showing you that it has 80 amendments, which means that that's not the original. And if it's not the original, because we're talking about contracts, right? They got to don't they have to present the original if it's contracts? If contracts in dispute, they have to present the original, don't they? Never do they present the original. Always do they present some document that has more than 10 Bill of Rights. As soon as they present that, they're playing you. And you have to recognize that they're playing you when they do that by checking to see which constitution are you bringing up right now. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. That was it. Yeah, because all these other questions are more Science Temple. Okay, let's try this one. How does Act 1 structure of leadership within the Moore Science Temple reflect the 10th Amendment's principle of powers reserved to the people and states emphasizing decentralized authority? So Act 1. The Grand Sheik and the chairman of Moore Science Temple of America is empowered to make law and enforce laws with the assistance of the Prophet and the Grand Body of the Moore Science Temple of America. The Assistant Grand Sheik is to assist the Grand Sheik in all affairs if he lives according to love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice, and it is known before the members of the Moore Science Temple of America. So anywhere that you see members, that's really the people. Anytime you see members, that's really the people. Keep that in mind. When you see members, don't think, oh, well, I went to Moore Science Temple and I have a card and I'm a member of meetings on Friday and all that stuff. That's not what's going on. You're saying members for the dummies who weren't on higher thought. This is why he went Moorish Science Temple of America from Moorish Holy Temple of Science, because people were asleep still. They weren't ready for Moorish Holy Temple of Science yet. So you have to bring them down lower again. Because remember, it's Moorish Divine National Movement. And then they weren't ready for that. So he dumbed it down more to Moorish Holy Temple of Science, and then dumbed it down some more to Moorish Science Temple of America. So in the introductory for the neophyte, you're gonna get the religious corporation and the Grand Sheik and secretary, and she's gonna write the name down, and the treasurer, oh yeah, you just give him your dues over there. The treasurer is the treasury department. That's treasurer. Secretary is Secretary of State. Governor is state governor. There's what grand there just so that you could think that it's a religious corporation only, more Science Temple. Why do you think there was a national flag flying? Because this is a national institution, not religious. It's not a corpse. This is your government in action. If you're in the mindset to see it like that, if not, then it's gonna be what it is, religious corporation, and then that's it. Which is why that's all that it's been. Because the people haven't ever elevated to the level to know that it's their spot, it's their school, it's their where all the business heads go and meet and all that stuff. Their commerce department. It's their holistic health / hospital. It's their mental illness facility, whatever. It's everything. You have muftis, that's your 911. You don't have to be calling these people's highwaymen. You can call your own. Muftis are supposed to be your 911, so you don't have to call them. Because you say that you're our nation. So if you're a nation, then why don't you act like it? And then when you go read magistrate and subject and master and servant in your Quran that Noble Drew Ali left you, you'll see the principles of the powers and all that of the people onto the leadership. And telling all the leaders how they're supposed to act and all that stuff, and they're supposed to take advantage and think they're on the high horse because they're the leader and all that stuff, because they got that from the people. And then going through everything that Noble Drew Ali presented, you see everything is in harmony with the supreme law of the land, more than these people whose stuff, it's their stuff. It's theirs. And they don't follow it as much as Noble Drew Ali follows it with everything that he presented for the Moors. Just remember, everything that we do is Aboriginal and Indigenous first. You're living by the principles of love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. You doing that? Keep doing that. That's supreme laws. That's divine laws. Live by those principles. Study your Quran. That's divine laws. That's supreme laws. Take what Noble Drew Ali said and do that multifold. Right. You'll see in the exercise of your rights how in harmony with the Constitution what Noble Drew Ali brought you is. Right. How does Act 2's requirement for meetings to be opened and closed in harmony with divine principles mirror the First Amendment protection of peaceful assembly and petition to the government? Well, how else are you gonna be able to petition the government if you're not at the meeting? The government's at the meeting. You have a petition and you're not going to the meeting, then how are you gonna? Interesting. In order for you to be able to petition the government, Grand Sheikh, Assistant Grand Sheikh, Grand Treasurer, Grand Mufti, whoever, you would have to be at the meeting because they're going to be at the meeting. And then that's when you can petition them. That's when you can bring up your arguments, your issues, your complaints, your honors, whatever you want to bring up. There's the time. So, like I said, it exactly mirrors everything. Not so Moors can go follow United States of America Constitution, but to show you that prophet's the man. Because remember, after Noble Drew Ali, these people weren't you're dealing with democracy. That's not a republic anymore. It's not your government and all that stuff for the Moor Science Temple people who are talking about this said government and they're talking about U.S. and now Moors are saying they're U.S. citizens and all that. People played you into being part of some corpse wardship, some Moorish wardship. Moorish wardship? Right. Supreme honors to all the Moors. Give thanks for all the questions. Honors to all Moors. Don't forget, study. And like the Moor said, read RV Bay every day. Just so you can know something. Because in this age of, viewing lots, a lot of people not reading. Viewing more than they're reading. Honors to all the Moors worldwide. Supreme love to the chat Moors. You already know. It's all love. Honors to Noble Drew Ali, our prophet. Our prophet is the man. Supreme honors to Noble Drew Ali. Honors to all Moors worldwide. And don't forget, Moorish meetup. Moorish meetup this weekend. Newark and NYC. If you're near Newark or NYC, Moors are meeting up. riseofthemoors.org. Get updated on what's going on. Supreme love, Moors. Islam.